Okay, so let's start to color and shade this. And what I'm going to do is bring in our color. Well, we'll just go ahead and tab it up there with that. And our swatches. So they are now part of our arsenal of go-tos. And I'm going to go ahead and delete out the layers that we don't need. I'm basically just starting off of the project we used last time when we were just elaborating on the shoulder piece. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and think about pieces that are going to move together. So, and we did put some things into symbols previously, so we'll go ahead and leave that as its own thing. This is its own thing. What I do want to combine are this part and this part with this main bit of shoulder right here. And also don't forget we've got these kind of clip-on parts right here. So what we'll do is we will go ahead and hit F8 on that. So we'll just call it a shoulder hole maybe. And I made you might have noticed I made a couple slight changes to the design of that shoulder piece. And if you want to just start with that, you can grab it out of the library here. It's just called Shoulder Start. And the reason I did that is because I felt like I felt like I wanted to see this side of the box, whereas before it was kind of tucked under like that, and I felt that was a little ambiguous in terms of I don't know. Once we start coloring it in, it just didn't look right. So anyway, and let's keep this pipe over top of there. And actually, if I'm going to be a real stickler here, I do feel like this needs to go up just a little bit. Okay, so let's now begin, and I'm gonna go inside of this symbol I called shoulder hole, and I'm just gonna break apart everything. So now I've got everything just kind of falling on top of each other here. They're now on one layer, and let's go ahead and take all the blue lines, and we're not going to get rid of them, but what I'm going to do is go over here to properties. I'm going to set them to be hairline, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make them white, and I'm going to make them at 10% alpha. Okay, so you can just kind of make them out for coloring purposes, but they're pretty, you know, they're not in the way really. And one thing I'm going to do before I start to color things in is close off this and this right here, these two clips, holding in whatever that thing is. So I'll go and zap that pointer right there, that one right here, and that over to here. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to make this side pretty dark. Actually, everything but the these top planes here. I think I'm going to make are pretty dark. So let's go over here and try one of our two very dark swatches for the yellow color. And I guess if we're just going to pick on somebody, we'll go start over here. So I'm going to fill in every one of these. That's facing that direction. Got to get that guy too right there. And who else? This one, that one. And that should about do it. Alright, so now let's go dip over here to this one. And remember, these are still pretty far off from a pure black. Alright, so if we have if we do have some black back here, you'll notice the difference. I'll just go ahead and make that that same color. And alright, I don't think I'm missing anyone. I'm going to step this down just a little bit. Oh, did I use the pure white there? I'm sorry, I wanted to use this one. Oh, no, I did, okay. And then we'll just offset that color a little bit in some places. For example, here, maybe that entire plane will just be slightly offset of that white, our brightest yellow color. And now that I'm looking at it, maybe what we'll do is make this other clip just there we go. Because we'll make this piece right here a little bit darker. In fact, let's go ahead and do it. We'll make this our kind of a metallic green, I guess. And I'm just trying to see if that's the right move. Okay. And then, for right now, it's okay to go ahead and, I think, leave in the white lines surrounding all that stuff. Eventually, though, I definitely would get rid of it. All right, now let's deal with this piece. And I'm just going to cut through here. So this is, I can select that independent as well. And we'll just keep this that same yellow color scheme and make this side pretty dark. And then let's go with that yellow on top, and then one of these ones in the middle for this slant downwards. And okay, I think we can get rid of that, the lines around that. And now let's look a little bit at shadowing this. I'm going to go ahead and put a symbol. Well, you know what? I could put it underneath this this piece right here. So on a layer underneath that, I'm going to go and grab a black swatch. Just make this at about 40%. And there we go. I'm going to take snap off so I have a little bit more control over where I put this. For right now, what I'll do is I'll just take both points that, or the points on each side of the square that make it up, and I'll put them down here like this, and then I'll kind of have to play a little step ladder game with adding new points and just holding down the Option key on the keyboard or the Control key on the PC, and just kind of going through here and each time making 2 points, just kind of tucking that down, coming over here. I'll have to compensate for this little piece that's jutting out, so get rid of that. There we go. And just something like this. Okay. And I think what we could do is, oh, I actually did have a stroke around that. Whoops. I'm going to hit F8 on this, and I'll just call it shadow. Kind of a very ambiguous or non-specific name. Doesn't say what part that shadow's for, so I'll have to keep labeling these shadow 1, shadow 2, shadow 3. All right, now that's looking good. It's got some dimensional properties to it. Just that shadow alone underneath there helps a lot. Let's go and do that another shadow over on this side, and I will need to be a layer above everything else I currently have. I think that's all we need. Just a little something surrounding it. Let's go ahead and put a blur filter on that as well. And of course, one of the problems you do get with the blur at times is that it subtracts a little bit from your initial shape. So you could always just move that up a little bit, and that actually sort of looks nice right there. Okay, now let's consider where else we could put just a little bit of shadowing. And I'll make this quick by just making it a square. I'll hit F8, shadow 2, whatever. Blur it real quick, and I'm just going to rotate it. I'll skew it a little bit. And I'll put it on some of these steps over here. I'm going to arrange this behind the that ramp, so it should be at least on the same layer or a layer below that ramp. And just arranged behind. And what I could do too is to kind of ease off that that blurring. Just take the actual blurring down. And for this one, let's duplicate it. So I'm going to make a new symbol in the library. 3. I'll just get rid of this middle part. And I'll just do one more down here. In fact, I'll duplicate this one as well. I think I'm having an easier time just reshaping this versus versus trying to skew it around the scene. And also too, this would be a good one to put a little shadowing underneath there. Okay, now there are some great free textures out there, and that's the next thing we're going to look at. I had the website up just a moment ago. Let's see. There we go. Here it is. You can type that URL in, and you'll find lots of free textures that you can throw into your scene. And even if you just looked up something like rock texture and did a Google image search, you'll come up with something. And I've gone ahead and put one of those in my library, and I'm going to use this to add a lot of texture to the well, to this entire thing. So let's go ahead and just I'm going to copy it into my clipboard. In fact, actually, before I do that, I'll make it into a symbol. So let's call it rock texture. Copy that. And actually, I didn't need to copy that. What I'm going to do first is create a mask. So just grab everything that you've got right here, even the lines included, that's fine, and paste that onto what we'll call the mask layer here. All right, and this layer, let's rename it just original artwork. And then this is our layer to be masked. Okay, now right click on this, go to mask. So anything that we put inside of these layers within the mask aren't going to be seen outside of these shapes. And just to give you maybe a better idea, I'm going to make this original layer just invisible for right now. And when I unlock this, then you get to see all that same artwork again. But just so it's like really clear what's what, let's go ahead and make all this blue. Again, I'll leave inside the strokes in case we need to select some of these and delete them. Otherwise, if we got rid of all those, obviously if we selected something, it would select the entire mask. So we can keep that in. And now let's go ahead and really see the effect of this by putting that texture inside of the mask. So we'll just grab rock texture here, we'll drag it out of the library, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a bit smaller so we've got even more detail here. And well, I guess I don't have to rotate it. Alright, so I'll just put it over top of the entire thing. I can even duplicate it and kind of move it down like that, so repeat the texture. It doesn't have to perfectly repeat, I don't think. And then from there, what we'll do is lock both of these layers, and now you should be able to see what is exactly what's going on right here. So none of that rock texture is appearing outside of the mask. Okay, now of course though, if we were to step back over here to scene 1, oh, that doesn't look too good, does it? So what we're going to do is tone down this texture a little bit. And since I did use two of them, let me combine these together just so I don't have to apply the same effects to both of them. And I'll just call this rock textures. Oops. And maybe repeating. It's kind of a repeating pattern. All right, then go over here to properties, and let's take the alpha down to about 45%. And of course, at any time you just want to lock this up and see what's going on, you'll be like, not exactly sure that's what I want. Try this though. Go over here. You can leave that at about 40%. We'll toggle it in a little bit, and try hard light. Okay, and then see how that looks. All right, now it's. I think this is looking a little bit better. It's probably a bit too visible, so let's take it down even further. And now we can start to decide where exactly we want this texture to be showing up based on the mask, right? So let's unlock the mask layer, and first off, let's get rid of it on this piece all together. All right, now we can step back here. So this will be kind of even though it's still part of this same symbol, it doesn't have any of those same texturing effects on it. And I think this is good enough to leave in. And of course, we're kind of building up many effects on here. One thing we could do though real fast is take a white circle, and let's go ahead and work back within this within this main symbol. I'll lock this up, and I'll create another layer, and we'll just call this how about light shining. And when you do unlock your the layers inside of here, it's or when you unlock them like that, you see the mask. So a lot of times it's helpful just to go over here and view the mask as a wireframe. All right, so now let's put in some light, and I'll just make this a regular circle. It does not need a stroke around it, and hit F8. Call this light, and what I'll do is blur it, set that to high, and set this pretty high up as well. And then let's go over here to add. Okay. If you want to kind of skew it to fall in with the plane, keep it a little bit more parallel, you can. And then you can play around with the alpha a little bit. And what that's going to do is, will not only add some light, obviously, but take away from the mask in certain places, okay, or take away from the texture at least. So let's see, what's a good place to do this? How about right over here? It looks a little funny because of the ramp right there, but if we did put that same light on top of it, could look good. And another thing you can do is just play around with different blend settings using that white. So for example, subtracting it kind of makes it look like you got a little bit of damage right there, which is another thing we'll play around with in a different video. That's actually kind of interesting. Like that. So that almost highlights it a little bit. Let's throw a little over there too. Okay, stay focused. Let's work with the light. I think we can make it a little brighter. And it's obviously easier if we keep everything inside of the same mask, but you know, something you could consider too is using an entirely different mask layer and only applying the lighting effects to the top planes, so you don't mess around with your shadowing at all, which is kind of what's tripping me up a little bit here. I don't want to cast too much light on that one. Oh, it kind of looks good over there. And then another thing too is you can just play with just the general size of it. So obviously the bigger and more blurry you make it, the more you're going to spread out that light. And that actually is kind of nice as a sort of a better spread from over here to over there. Well, let's take a break for now, and you guys can tweak your version while I tweak mine, and we will come back with the next video on Rust.